Welcome to the Take Action podcast, where we empower communication partners to feel confident with AAC. I am Lauren Greenleaf, a certified speech-language pathologist with nearly a decade of experience in AAC. Join us weekly as we dive into all of the aspects of AAC and hear from communication partners just like you who are successfully integrating AAC into their daily lives. Whether you are an SLP, a parent, an educator, or any other communication partner, you are absolutely in the right place if you are ready to take actionable steps towards AAC success today. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Take Action podcast. I am so grateful you are here and listening, and I'm really excited about today's topic. I'm not going to lie, it took me a little while to navigate through how I really wanted to deliver this information. I started a couple times and came back and decided I wanted to kind of revamp it. So, we are going to talk about how we can manage our overwhelm when it comes to AAC. This has been something that's consistently come up in conversations with the people who I'm interviewing, conversations I have on Instagram, conversations I have with clients, is that the whole process in general is just really overwhelming. And I get that. I really do. I was really overwhelmed when I started. I am so thankful for my mentor who was able to really walk me through so many things and help me feel at ease about them. And I think a lot of our overwhelm comes from this thought process of second guessing ourselves. Are we doing the right thing? Is there something better we could be doing? And I'm going to give you permission right now to do the best you can and allow for mistakes to happen and then come back and grow from them and do better when you know better. So, if that is what is holding you back, please understand from an overwhelm perspective. I know there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to navigate, but a really big part of this is just getting started. And it's just learning thing by thing how to navigate this AAC and how to incorporate it in your daily lives. So, we are going to talk about 4 tips that I have for managing that overwhelm. And they're more mindset based than they are like an actual hard, you can go do this tomorrow and you won't be overwhelmed anymore. And I'm giving you something more mindset oriented because we're all different, right? We're all unique. We all process information differently. We all learn differently. So, something that helps me kind of decrease overwhelm or helped me learn AAC may not actually help you. So, what I want you to kind of take away from this episode is that a lot of how we navigate this world of AAC comes down to how we feel and interact with it ourselves versus necessarily the specific strategy we're using or the specific vocabulary word we're trying to implement. So, let's get into the nitty gritty here. The first is to know your why. When you are overwhelmed, you want to go back to why you are learning AAC. Are you a parent? Are you an SLP? Are you an educator? Are you working to support a specific individual? Are you working to support many individuals? Are you working to create a better, more inclusive world when it comes to communication? What is your why? Why are you diving into AAC? There is a reason. I know there's a reason because you're here and you're listening. So, what is that reason behind either wanting to learn it or needing to learn it? And if you are in a need basis, I want you to make sure that you're kind of checking in on that and wanting to learn about it too. When we force people to learn certain things, it's a lot harder to learn. So if you are feeling forced into learning an AAC system, I really suggest you kind of take some time and reflect on why you are feeling forced about that. And is there some other path that can be navigated? Can you transition to that kid to another speech therapist? Can you work with your significant other to kind of decrease the load on you for learning that kind of thing? So, when we are ready to learn and excited to learn, that's going to be really, really helpful. So now that you've figured out your why, I really encourage you to write it down so you can refer back to it when you get frustrated. So when we write things down, it really like solidifies this idea that we're having in our head. So write it down on a piece of paper, put it on a Post-it note, put it in the notes section of your phone, text it to yourself, whatever you need to do so that when you do come across a situation with AAC that you're like, wow, this is just really overwhelming. I can't right now. You can go back to that note, that message, and say, but this is why I need to. This is why I want to. And this is why I'm going to figure out how to navigate this problem. So that is my first and foremost. You really got to figure out your why. Why are we here? Why are we supporting AAC? It's going to be so much easier when you are excited and encouraged and ready to learn AAC than if you are like forced into it and really resistant to using it. The next point I like to make is that you need to give yourself time. A lot of our feelings around overwhelm come up from a standpoint of it needs to be done now. I need to finish it now. I need to learn everything now. And you don't. This is a process. It's going to take time. They say Rome wasn't built in a day. Communication wasn't built in a day either. You need to take time to explore the device. Give yourself grace. Take it one step at a time. I typically recommend that families start with one activity at a time. Well, that goes for SLPs and teachers too. If you are overwhelmed, confused, not sure what to do with AAC, pick one activity, one routine, one interaction, and start there. Get comfortable there, and then you can build on that. When we give ourselves time, we're giving ourselves permission to genuinely learn and explore. It is okay if you are learning with the AAC user. You do not have to be the expert in this situation. You guys can learn together, and that's really, really powerful. I like to tell people to be a cheerleader and not a scoreboard. So, a cheerleader is present for the whole game, right? They're there the whole time. They're cheering in for all the good things that are happening, and they're encouraging for all the challenging parts that are coming up. And we're really just this whole positivity. We're really excited about everything, and we're moving through and forward. When we look at the scoreboard, there's a win or lose or a tie. There's always something that is concrete and ending. You're not looking at all those little teeny tiny things that led to that score. You are just looking at, did we win or did we lose? When you look at AAC in that perspective, it gets even more overwhelming because you get even more frustrated and don't know which direction to go next. And that's not fair to you or the communication partner. Be that cheerleader. Give yourself the whole game to be excited and move through all of these different things. The next, we kind of talked about at the beginning, I couldn't keep it under wraps, is to allow for mistakes. Listen, we all make mistakes in all aspects of life. It's what makes us human, it's a part of life, it is what it is. But what we can do is we can make these mistakes and then we can learn from them. We can use them to grow personally, and then we can use them to grow our skills. Listen, I have been at this for almost 10 years. I've been a therapist for almost 10 years. I've made a lot of mistakes, but a lot of them came from not knowing any better. And some of them came from just not knowing enough. And that's okay. You need to give yourself that grace to be able to make mistakes. So please don't be so hard on yourself that it's like, I got to do this right and I can only do this right, because we make mistakes and we learn a lot from those mistakes and we grow a lot. And another component of this is allowing for communication between others. Don't put somebody down when they do make a mistake. Talk about your experience with that and how you grew through it. There's really no sense in kind of telling people they're doing it wrong. There's a lot more strength and power in sharing your experience and how you navigated through it, or how you're doing it differently and how it's been more successful for you. People don't like hearing like you're doing this wrong. What they like to hear is ideas and stories and navigating through what will work for their AAC user specifically. And then my last one here is to have a little bit of fun. AAC does not have to be this like really boring transaction between people where you say want and you get a goldfish, and then you say want again and you get a cookie. It can be fun. You can pick fun words. You should be creating goals for yourself. You don't have to make them SMART goals. You don't have to make them anything fancy. Maybe your goal is to learn 10 new words this week. Maybe your goal is to remember to take the device upstairs at bedtime. Maybe your goal is to make sure it doesn't get left in the car when you go to the playground. Whatever that goal may be, set one and see how many times you can get it, and then give yourself a reward. There's no harm. Maybe you could have ice cream one night, or if you need your adult beverage or your Netflix binge, make it fun, make it engaging. What do you need to get through this and make it fun and exciting in the process? You can always make it a game. You can kind of make it a competition if you want, in some sense. I've been in classrooms where we have like modeling challenges, who can model the most during the day. When you do make it a competition, in any sense, some people really like competitions, other people don't. So if this suggestion works for you, great. Try to make sure that you're not just like pressing the device to press the buttons on the device. Make sure it's like legitimate, supportive communication that you're really trying to learn and teach and navigate through. Just because you press like more 15 times isn't making that competition really successful. So think through that piece of it if you're going to go the game route or the competition route. I always tell people to start with their favorite words. What's something that you really like to talk about? What's a phrase that your family says all the time? Start to navigate some of those, or even find new ones that are more fun. And then use it for fun activities. You're going to use it for your AAC users' fun activities, but there's no harm in also incorporating it in some of your favorite activities. So maybe your kid went to bed, or maybe you're taking some time to learn the device outside of school. Go ahead and have fun with it. There's no harm in having fun. We communicate and interact with people in often a really fun and engaging manner, right? We're not always communicating educational material. We're not always directly communicating a want or a need. So you are allowed to explore those things, and you are allowed to navigate through them and have fun with them. So, with that being said, those are my 4 tips to kind of navigate that overwhelm. It is overwhelming. There's a lot to learn. How do you pick vocabulary? What grid size should we use? Do we need a key guard? There's so many factors here. How do I incorporate it into education? What sensory regulation do we need before we can even use the device? There's a lot, guys, and I realize that, and we work through all of that step by step, day by day. We don't have to have all the answers today, and we don't have to have all the answers tomorrow. It's not a sprint, it is a marathon. And as long as you are consistently trying to learn and improve and grow, you are doing exactly what you need to be doing. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode. So, just to kind of summarize those 4 tips for you: know your why, give yourself time and patience, allow room for mistakes, and have a little bit of fun. With that, I am going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. You guys are back with another interview next week, and we have some really exciting ones coming up this month. So I hope that you are ready, and I will see you then. Have a great day.